Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, hey boo hey, my name is Achila. I'm an author, researcher, and genealogist. I wrote the book Discovering American Genealogy. I help everyday ordinary people become experts in their family's history, and if that's something you're interested in, subscribe to my channel and click the all notifications bell button to get notified when I go live and when I upload new content. So today, I want to talk about the importance of overcoming paper genocide. And spoiler alert, I do have an ebook on this, so be sure to check out the description box down below to grab it, okay? So for those that don't know, paper genocide is the act of a organization reclassifying an ancestor as another demographic. For example, many Aboriginal Americans, American Indians, Aborigines, whatever name you want to go with, were reclassified as black, colored, Negro, and even in some cases, white. And a lot of people are unaware of this, but it was and still pretty much is prevalent to this day. A lot of people don't understand racial classifications. They don't understand the history of racial classifications because oftentimes, people were assigned a demographic, and they could have fight against it, but we all know how forceful colonizers can be. So I'm gonna leave that topic alone. But other than that, yes, it's very hard for many to overcome. And just to be straight up honest, you guys, some people never overcome paper genocide in their genealogy research. And I want to be very transparent about that. And the reason why is because, for number one, paper genocide was never based on anything factual. It was never based on anything genetic or foundational. It was based on what you look like and what you could pass as. And a lot of people don't understand that back then in colonial times, slave labor was not only huge, okay, but colonizers, okay, colonists, white settlers, they used loopholes to enslave different groups of people. And paper genocide doesn't only affect Aboriginal Americans, it affects Black Americans who are descendants of Aboriginal Americans. It affects Asians, believe it or not. It affects different types of people. So yes, paper genocide is not only important for Aboriginal Americans, Black Americans, but also Asians too. And I know that also gets overlooked a lot, but I added that in there because Asians were also being classified as Indian and American Negro, aka Black American, depending on the demographic they originally originated from. So, for example, Filipinos that were servants and that were being shipped to colonial Mexico, they were being classified as Indios legally, okay? And that distorts historical records, okay? And not only that, but then you had East Indians coming to colonial United States, and due to court records, according to court records, they were being labeled as colored, Negro. It's wild, okay? It's wild. The classifications that, Asians were being classified as, you'd be like, wow, like, I'm shocked. And even some East Indians were being labeled as American Indian too. So it's very strange. It's very strange. So yeah, the racial identifying process in the Americas was very skewed. And this is why I tell y'all guys, stop solely relying on the racial classification section to tell you who you are. Because you could be thinking an ancestor is African, whole time they were East Indian, American Indian, or whatever. You can't always go off on racial classifications to tell you who your ancestor was and what nation they came from. Or should I say demographic, because racial classifications don't go off on nations. They go off on demographics that were pretty much made up to serve a false narrative about people. So I know it's a hard pill for many to swallow, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And if you want to get far in your genealogy research, you just can't be delusional, because the more truth that you learn, it's going to just break those illusions. It's going to break it to the point where you just have to face things for what it is, and accept things for what it is. And people think that, paper genocide is not a common occurrence, but it was. Okay, it happened often. And when you're dealing with colonial Americas, they needed that slave labor to get these nations, these colonized nations that they were creating, going. And so if you can classify different groups of people into a racial category that is meant for enslaved people to get more free slave labor, they're gonna do that, and they did do that. Okay, let's just look at it from a common sense point of view. Common sense point of view. I'm not gonna get all into the historical point of paper genocide. I have previous videos explaining it. I will link it down in the description box down below, because I really want to focus this video on the tips and tricks to overcoming paper genocide in your genealogy research. So without further ado, let's begin. There's several ways to overcome paper genocide. You have to gather all your documentation, all the documentation you have about this ancestor that you suspect endured paper genocide. You have to look at the immigration records, or if they're indigenous, look at the records from the nation that they come from, the indigenous nation that they come from. Look at their records. See if they were initially labeled as American Indian, okay? Start from there and start verifying the documents that you have. Make sure that the names and birthdays, the death dates are aligning together. But also I do want to remind you guys that the documents of your ancestors are not always going to align. So it has to be at least around that time frame where they passed away or was born. Okay, so it can't be like 20 years before they were born and be like, oh, this is my ancestor's document. Like, probably not. No. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, it's gonna be around, like, I say almost 3 or 5 years the most, that it should be around the exact age, birthday, death date, whatever. Okay, if it's so far in between, it's probably not your ancestor. Just pro tip. Okay, and really start comparing the information you have. Like, once you start coming across documentation, like, look at the documentation, look at the census, look at the initial documents, the early documents of your ancestors, and really take a look at it, because you will see the transition from them being American Indian on documents to Black, colored, Negro on documents. So really look at those things. And of course, call the tribal nation to confirm your relation to this nation. Okay? I can't stress that enough. I just can't stress that enough. There's so many times where people do the research process or don't even do it and don't call the American Indian Nation that they supposedly descend from to confirm. That's a very important step. Please do that. So yes, y'all guys, it's very important to do these steps. And I'm just going to keep it brief because I don't want to overwhelm viewers with so much information. Because when it comes to paper genocide, there's just so many things. There's so many things that one has to consider when it comes to this. Paper genocide is not an easy task to overcome. If you can get over it easily, great. But like I said before, there are laws in place to keep us from accessing certain records due to privacy laws. So with that being said, it may not be that simple. Okay? And also too, when it comes to paper genocide, it's not always going to be so clear and in your face. And that's why I say look at the early documents of your ancestor. Look at the regions that they lived in, and especially the regions that they originally lived in, because they can tell you so much about them. And this is why I tell y'all guys, stop relying solely on DNA ancestry tests. I cannot stress this enough. I don't know why there's so many people. I mean, I know why, but it's like, oh my God. So many people think that they're just gonna overcome paper genocide by doing a DNA ancestry test. And if you've been on my channel for a long time, you know that I talk about the dangers of DNA ancestry tests. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all some tough love right now. Stop being lazy and thinking that DNA ancestry test is gonna do all the work when it's not. Okay, and I'm gonna make a video about that in itself because I already have like so many previous videos about it. And yet, people who are probably new to my channel are still saying DNA ancestry test, DNA ancestry test, DNA test. Take a DNA test. This DNA test to prove you're Native American. No, it's not. Stop lying. Stop repeating stuff you heard from other people. Stop. I need y'all guys to research these things. Research, research, research. Google is your best friend. Okay? It's not a source itself, but it's a search engine. And a search engine will lead you to accurate and reliable sources. So please, I'm not making you, because you're grown, okay? I will hope so if you're on my channel. But y'all know what you need to do to verify information, okay? Because I'm not a person who's just going to pull something out of my booty hole to serve me in my agenda or whatever. Because my agenda is to help you guys overcome these genealogical obstacles, okay? But yes, I didn't mean to go on a whole tangent about that, but it will not hurt y'all to research. Like, it just won't. A lot of people just want to stick to the narratives that suits them, but it really does not. It really does not. I'm letting you know right now. If no one has not told you, I'm telling you. So now you know. Okay? Gone are the days where we just have to accept things that are just told to us blindly. Okay? We have access to information now pretty much way faster than our ancestors, even our parents had. Okay? So there's no reason to be lazy and spreading information that is false and downright ignorant. I'm just saying. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Be sure to check out my ebook, Overcoming Paper Genocide. I give more tips and historical background on paper genocide. So definitely check that out. Link is in the description box down below. And for Patreon members, I have been updating Patreon posts pretty much this whole week. So definitely check back to some old posts and you'll see some more information relating to the content I have already on there. I will be adding more materials in my Patreon shop. So definitely check that out. I love y'all guys. Stay safe. And until the next time, bye.